Hey everybody. So this video is about my online dating catfish issue that I had, and it's embarrassing to talk about, but I think that it could be helpful to some people. Basically, my story was that I had met this guy, and I had met him right after I had a lot of drama with someone who became a friend who is not my friend anymore. And it's very complicated. Essentially, I met this girl because we had a mutual friend who was this guy. We'll call him N. And he was dating her, but trying to get with me. And he played it pretty well. I didn't know that he was with her or anything like that. And, you know, I'd known him for a few years. And, you know, we hung out a few times, did some stuff that was regrettable, and ended up finding out that he had this girlfriend. And of course I felt terrible about it because I'm not someone that condones cheating. I don't think it's good, you know. And told her everything that I knew, and at first she was very disrespectful to the fact that I was trans and made a comment about, why would my boyfriend want to be with a girl like you, like when you're, or someone that's pretending to be a girl or something along those lines. And I blocked her and all that stuff, and I was like, fuck you, I'm not gonna be disrespected when I've apologized countless times for one, and helped you with any information that I could, because I genuinely felt bad about what happened. And it was just offensive. She was just kind of mean about it, so I blocked her. And I ended up getting a message from this guy known as Brian, and like shortly after I blocked her, and it didn't click to me until just maybe a month ago. But he and I started talking a bit, and he was conveniently friends with her, and he was the only mutual friend, or she was the only mutual friend that he and I had. All of his other friends, you know, I didn't know who they were, and I just assumed that was because he was older than me. By almost about 10 years. Well, no, about 10 years, yeah. Like 9 years. And, you know, he and I started talking a bit, and we talked for a little while, and, this online communication became, somewhat of an online relationship. And I've never actually dated people online. And what I mean by that is I've never actually formed a relationship over the internet before actually meeting them. And that was not something that I would do again, because it was very, very awkward. And I always thought, I was like, this seems a little bit weird, like, you know, I was kind of iffy about it, but he seemed like a cool guy, you know, we talked for a while. He was really sweet, very, very attractive, all of those things. And, so, long story short, towards the end of our relationship, he starts telling me that he's a heroin addict, and the cancer in me decides that, oh, I can help you, and the cancer / girl in me decides that I'm going to help him, and I'm gonna fix it, and everything's gonna be great, I'm gonna get him off drugs, blah 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 blah, all that kind of stuff, right? And so we got on that path, and I'm telling him, you know, stop buying drugs, stop doing them, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. And it's just this constant battle, a lot of tears, a lot of aggravation, a lot of fights, all of that, trying to get this guy to quit doing heroin. And then one night we're talking, and he tells me that he feels really terrible, and that he had just shot up like 2 more doses of heroin, or however much a dose is, I don't know. And it's just freaked me out, because I'm thinking this guy's gonna die, you know, like this person is going to die. And even at this point, even though I still have my doubts that maybe this person isn't who they say they are, it's still the fact that this person could die. If this person's real in any capacity, and they are a heroin addict, that is still scary. And so we, you know, I told him to, you know, go try to get help, go get his sister who was in the other room, ask her to take you to the hospital, whatever, something, so that you don't overdose off of this. And he refused and refused and refused, said he was going to go to sleep, he'd talk to me tomorrow. But that was the last time I spoke to him. And like 3 days later, I get a message on his Facebook account from his supposed brother-in-law saying that he had passed away. And at first, it was just devastating, because I was still under this impression that this person was real. And it was conveniently the day before, the night I talked to him, last night I talked to him, the next day he was supposed to come up here, and we were going to start his rehabilitation and all that. And I was going to go stay with him for a week and put him through a detox and all this stuff, because I did a lot of research on heroin, and watched a lot of videos, and looked up a lot of information, and formed a plan of how to detox him from heroin. And so conveniently he dies the night before. And so I go for about a month, like, just devastated, thinking that this person died, because I had grown to care for this person. And it wasn't until I had done the whole Google thing where you take their images and you search them, and nothing ever came up. And so I was like, this person actually is real, you know? And I just got so freaked out about it, and really, really upset. Well, my friend at the time, our mutual friend, I'll call her Kay, she starts telling me that she has been seeing him in her dreams and stuff, and that he's telling her things. And I was like, at this point, I'm like, I want to believe this, you know? And I believe in the supernatural things, and I practice Wicca, if you guys didn't know. And, you know, so I believe in magic, and I believe in all of that stuff, and the supernatural, and all that kind of thing. So I think he's actually communicating with her. And, you know, she's just telling me all this stuff, and telling me, like, what he's saying. And then she's telling me that she's seeing him, and that he's following her around, and that she's seeing him at her work, and that she's seeing him at her house and stuff, and that his spirit is actually with her. And I'm like, wow, you know, like, I'm wanting to believe that this is true, for one, because you're my friend, why would you lie to me? Two, because I cared about this person, I'm thinking they died, and I'm just devastated with the fact that this person that I cared about died. And so I'm just really freaked out about it. I'm willing to believe anything. I was very vulnerable. And she just keeps on with this, pretending that she sees him, and telling me things that he apparently is telling her, and all this stuff, right? And this goes on for about a month, and I'm just like freaking heartbroken the entire time. Like, thoughts of suicide came up again, because at one time, you know, she's telling me that he's saying that if I was to kill myself, that he and I could be together, and all this kind of crazy shit. And you know, and then when her and I are just talking, she's telling me things that he's apparently telling her, and the stuff that he and I only talked about via Facebook or via text message or something. And so I'm thinking, like, obviously this has to actually be real. Like, he really is telling her something, you know? Like, he really is dead, and he really is in spirit, and he's really telling her things, because how else would she know this? Because I'm still thinking, like, this is my best friend, like, why would she do that, you know? Well, then I meet Michael, my current boyfriend, and I'm showing him this, I'm telling him the story, and we get on Google again, and we're searching these images again, and I find the actual person that I, you know, had been using these pictures. Like, I find that person in the pictures. And a lot of the stuff that they had used, like names, was all right for the most part. And, you know, all this crazy stuff, and all the names are right. And I find a blog post of this guy's wife, and he's, you know, posting all this stuff about, or she's all posting all these things, what they did every day, and blah, 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 and all this stuff, and it just, like, tripped me out. And so, of course, I confront my friend who's telling me this person's dead, you know, that she's seeing a spirit and stuff, and I confront her, I'm like, so, he's not real? Like, you know, what are you talking? And she, of course, pretends she doesn't know anything about it. And, so I ended that friendship, and, you know, she's claiming, oh, I didn't know anything about it, I didn't know, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you've got to be beyond it, you know, like, you knew things that he and I talked about over the internet, you had to have faked that, you know, you had to have known those things, either by faking the account or something, and then even if you weren't guilty for that, you were pretending to see his spirit, and telling me things that he said, and just encouraging the depression that I was in, and encouraging all of these negative emotions, and encouraging this sympathy that you got from it, and just getting more and more attention out of it. And it was just the craziest thing I've ever been through. And, you know, I realized that, you know, when I, like, in hindsight, some things that her and I would talk about, and she told me before that if anyone ever screwed her over, she always got revenge on them. And so I think that's exactly what happened. And unfortunately, I think what happened was that was her initial intention, was to try to, like, hurt me or fuck me over. And she succeeded. Like, I have trust issues now because I'm like, this was someone that I thought I was really good friends with, and I find out they're completely fake. That's going to cause some issues, and it has caused issues. And it's making it very difficult for me to trust people and get close to people now. And that sucks because I don't normally have that issue, or I never did before. Not to this extreme. And so that has caused issues. And so she would never admit to it. And I think the reason she wouldn't admit to it is because she actually did grow to like me as a friend. And we actually did become friends. And I think that, you know, she got fucked over in the same way that I did. And it sucks. You know, it's really fucked up. And it really, really calls into question, like, you know, how well you know people. And it's crazy. It really is crazy. And, you know, in hindsight, it all makes sense. Just how it happened. Like, conveniently after I block her, this guy messages me, who I'd never spoken to before, never seen in my life. It makes sense. And so, you know, I think it was her way of, like, making this profile to get to talk to me. To try to apologize was the original thing for saying what she said, about, you know, just disrespecting me because I'm trans. And then from that, I think she thought, oh, I can get some revenge out of this. And, you know, unfortunately, I'll never know the truth because I can't convince someone to tell me the truth. People, I think, you know, I know that it's possible that you can convince yourself of what is true if it's not true, if you're able to convince yourself of that. And I've known a lot of people in the past that have convinced themselves completely false truths. You know, and it is possible. And I think that's what happened. And so I never will know exactly what the motive was or anything like that. But it was very, very crazy. And it's definitely put me more on alert when I meet people on the internet, because they can be whoever they want to be. And not everyone is as honest with who they are as I am, and as, you know, you guys are. It's just messed up. It's definitely messed up. It's very embarrassing. And it's embarrassing to think that, you know, just all of that happened. And I'm only saying it because it is helpful to talk about it. It's nice to talk about it to such a large amount of people, because it sort of helps just get it out. But it also could potentially help other people. You know, in this community, a lot of trans people do date online because it's easier, you know? You can hide certain things about you that you want to hide, and it's just easier. It gives you another extra, like, layer of protection. And so a lot of people, and not just trans people, a lot of people do it. And there's nothing wrong with online dating, because the world is massive, and, you know, your soulmate could be anywhere, and it's not necessarily going to be in the hometown that you're in. So it does have good things, but there's also a lot of negative side effects to it. Negative possibilities. But, yeah, I'm gonna go on. It's very weird to talk about it, but I hope that it was somewhat helpful to some of you guys. And if it wasn't, I hope you guys get a good laugh from my stupidity. But, I will talk to you guys later, and hope you guys have a great week.